This year, we celebrate 20 amazing years.
And we want to say thank you.
Because of you, we've become innovative, creative, and committed to providing the best customer service in the Bahamas.
Because of you,
we have given back to our community.
We are proud to serve our Bahamas with cable television, the nation's fastest broadband internet, and reliable phone service.
And that's all because of you.
Thank you for inspiring us,
motivating us,
and believing in us.
Thank you.
For 20 years!
The Prime Minister says there's no shortage of interest in Baha Mar. The Attorney General says the conviction rate has doubled under this administration. The Tourism Minister condemns the alleged rape of an American tourist by a jet ski operator. Plus, a group of Canadian boarding schools is in town to recruit Bahamian students. We've got those stories and a lot more coming up tonight. I'm Dana Smith, and MB12 starts right now. Toby News tonight, there's no shortage to Prime Minister Perry Christie. At the swearing-in ceremony for Bahamas of Gomez's role, Christie mentioned that government must do everything it can to get Baha Mar complete as soon as possible. Deteriorate for a long period of fish. Kyle Joaquin reports.
In explaining the importance of his role to the Bahamas' new ambassador to the People's Republic of China, Prime Minister Christie focused very heavily on Baha Mar. And he mentioned things like employee benefits packages that are nearing expiration, and of course the importance of getting the project done as soon as possible.
I'm in meeting with representatives of the employees, particularly casino employees who have had a number of meetings with me, whose unemployment benefits expire in 2 weeks' time, and therefore pending mortgage challenges loom large.
Christie said he's been in conference calls with the president of China Exim Bank representing the government's interest in ensuring those former employees are protected. He said he's also working to ensure Bahamian contractors are paid dollar for dollar, and when it's time to resume construction, he added that he's had conversations with the bank's president to ensure the workers are 30% Chinese and 70% Bahamian. Baha Mar is currently in receivership, and government is hoping a buyer can be locked down sometime soon.
There are a huge number of very internationally recognizable corporate names interested in the property, who've made applications for the property. Those will be brought to your attention because it is for the bank to make a decision, including American firms, both hotel casino firms, including Bahamian interests that are here, including big Bahamian interests that are here, and including Chinese interests of a huge multi-billion-dollar nature.
However, the Prime Minister explained why a buyer must be found right away.
And that it makes absolute no sense to allow that asset to continue to be exposed to the elements and therefore to deterioration, because what started off as a $300 million completion exercise will end up causing 600, 700 million and counting.
He said the paramount interest of the country is at stake as international credit ratings agencies like Moody's and Standard & Poor's are waiting to see what happens before the country is downgraded yet again. He explained to Gomez that many times he will be called upon to represent the interests of the country. Foreign Affairs and Immigration Minister Fred Mitchell said in sending Gomez, the Bahamas is sending one of its most noble and able sons.
We are sending one of our most able and accomplished sons, thinkers, and businessmen. His parents are well known to us in this generation. His dad, Patrick, you will recall, headed the taxi union. His siblings are all accomplished in their own right. Our country is still at the tender age when, as Ronnie Butler would say, we used to thank God for Robin Hood flour.
And in accepting his appointment, Gomez said he knows he has a lot of work to do, but he's more than anxious to get started.
I must say about the Prime Minister, he is someone who keeps his word. When my wife got ill, he visited her in her room with another friend And when they left, she said they cried like babies. And he said at that time to get better. After she passed, he said, go through the grieving period, and it is an ongoing period. But I'd just like to say publicly that the Prime Minister was unwavering in his support of this appointment, and I really appreciate it.
Well-known businessman and recent honoree by Queen Elizabeth, Sir Franklin Wilson, described the moment as the highlight of Gomez's life.
This is truly a match that's made in heaven. This is like Andy Gomez, His Excellency, having spent his life to this point, preparing for this role. It's amazing.
Reporting for NB12, I'm Kyle Joaquin.
Attorney General's eviction rate has more than doubled. The opening of the legal year, the government's swift justice program sticks to that of the previous Attorney General.
But for the first time, backlog cases are being properly inventoried and their progress is tracked. We disposed of more than 100 backlog cases in 2015. An expanded backlog review team is working diligently to arrest and reverse the growth of the backlog despite a growing caseload.
The legal year opening kicked off with a church service before the lawyers marched down Bay Street in their full legal attire into the main Supreme Court building through Bank Lane. Bahamas Bar Association President Ellsworth Johnson also gave his recommendations on how he feels the judicial system of the Bahamas could be more effective.
Despite the fact that the Bahamas has one of the highest per capita of lawyers in the world, there are insufficient pupillage spaces, and a number of our members cannot find employment. There is still that recurring call for the liberalization of the bar in the context where the Legal Profession Act provides for special call where there is no local expertise or in the best interest of justice.
Today's legal year opening was the first for newly appointed Supreme Court Chief Justice Sir Hartman Longley. In his remarks, the Chief Justice touched on numerous issues, including reasonable time for matters to be tried, people being unwilling to serve on juries, and civil litigation being too cost-driven.
No legislative change can address what has become the most significant and real problem with the system, and that is the number of skewed verdicts that have emanated from jury trials. In fact, it is for this reason that jury trials have been abolished in many countries, including the largest democracy in the world, India. The jury system was and has since Magna Carta held a special place in England. But even in England, they have now responded to modern needs, and the strictures of jury trial are being relaxed.
A police constable was arrested on Monday in connection with an alleged sexual assault, according to police. Assistant Commissioner Stephen Dean said the Central Detective Unit is investigating. Police provided no details on the matter. Dean did confirm, however, that Monday's arrest is unrelated to the reported kidnapping and rape of a 17-year-old girl. Former police constable 23-year-old DeAndre Rigby of Millennium Gardens appeared before Magistrate Andrew Forbes in relation to that matter on Friday. It is alleged that Rigby, along with another person, kidnapped and raped the girl on January 5th. Monday's arrest followed several matters that placed a negative spotlight on law enforcement officers. In other news, Free National Movement Chairman Michael Pintard is hitting back at Progressive Liberal Party Chairman Bradley Roberts, stating that the FNM is proud of its ratified candidates. Pintard dismissed Roberts' criticisms, telling the PLP chairman to mind his own business and focus on the many failures of his own party. Simone Davis reports.
He is nothing more than the mouthpiece of a prime minister who is afraid to speak for himself.
On Monday, Roberts said the PLP is amazed at the choice of hopeless and visionless personalities ratified by the FNM last week. And in response to that, Pintard accused the PLP chairman of using the old nasty style of politics while labeling him nothing more than a political dinosaur who should focus on more important issues.
Bradley Roberts is accustomed to the old-style nasty politics of name-calling. It is unfortunate given the fact that Mr. Roberts in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas does not have a good name. The public would recall that he has left frontline politics because he brought shame on the people of Baintown as a result of some unfortunate accusations leveled against him. Nevertheless, he seeks to sully the name of nation builders who are committed to addressing the issues that the Progressive Liberal Party has not.
Roberts said the PLP expects that F&M leader Dr. Hubert Minnis' candidate choices would reflect the skill sets and competencies required to connect with voters and inspire their confidence in addressing the challenges facing the Bahamas. Pintard hit back, asserting that Roberts should mind his business because Baintown has deteriorated under Roberts's and the PLP's leadership, and since the governing party took office, crime has been the country's #1 problem.
The #1 issue in the Bahamas today is crime and the fear of crime. The PLP has failed to put forward a comprehensive plan on how to deal with the immediate challenges that we're having of violence and the medium to long-term challenges we're having in law and order in the Bahamas. Mr. Roberts should be talking about those issues. How do we, for example, reduce the unprecedented level of violent crimes, murder in particular? 2, how do we prevent women of the Bahamas and those that visit the Bahamas from being violated by acts of violence in general or rape in particular?
On Thursday, the F&M ratified Dr. Dwayne Sands for Elizabeth constituency. President of the Bahamian Contractors Association, Leonard Sands, was ratified for the Baines and Grantstown constituency. Attorney Don Saunders for Tall Pines, Attorney Halston Moultrie for Nassau Village, Frankie Campbell for Southern Shores, Zandil Force for Central and South Andros, and Chantel Ferguson will run for Fox Hill, and Howard Johnson for South Beach. Pintard said the F&M has been attracting credible and talented men and women, while young men and women are resigning their elected and appointed positions in the PLP Cabinet, House of Assembly, and Senate, as the Christie administration stumbles from scandal to controversy.
It is interesting that the PLP wish to critique our candidates when the fact of the matter is the talented new generation of leaders that was touted by the PLP prior to the last general election, they're leaving the cabinet of Mr. Christie. 2 ministers resign. They're leaving the House of Assembly and crossing the floor. No less than 3 have left and more are expected. They're leaving the Senate for private interest because at the end of the day, they do not believe that their vision for the Bahamas is going to be achieved in a Christie administration.
He noted that the party's ratified candidates would remove the ineffective PLP candidates who promised plenty but delivered very little. Reporting for NB12, I'm Simone Davis.
You're watching the best in Bahamian news. There's more when NB12 returns.